Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. I've been thinking about what is poor in spirit and what does that mean? I think Jesus was talking to those who are literally poor, but Matthew's use of the words poor in spirit invite more of us in. Eugene Peterson said, "You're blessed when you're at the end of your rope." And I think that gives us a clue as to what this means. So it is actual poverty, and it is a poverty of spirit, like when your spirit is crushed, when you are, like Dallas Willard says, a spiritual zero, when you just keep messing up, when you've made mistakes and there's just nothing left, or you're in this sort of deep, dark depression. I discovered extreme poverty myself when I went to India for the first time. Just the onslaught on the senses in that incredible country. You know, everything is tested. Your feeling of security, your sense of smell, it comes crowding around you. And I completely fell in love with India and its people. I walked out of the hotel and immediately saw this pristinely dressed woman outside a blue tarpaulin shack that she obviously lives in, but sweeping the road with some twigs. That really was my introduction to being confronted with extreme poverty. And with my bandmates in Delirious, we visited slums and sex workers and their kids and the people that are helping them. And it was there in India, playing with these kids in a slum, that I saw God in the eyes of the poorest of the poor. And I went home different from that experience. I'm here in India with Food for the Hungry because we're kind of living for the same stuff. The poorest of the poor, the least of these, we just want to get on their side. That's the announcement that is in the Beatitudes, the fact that God is on your side when you're poor, when your spirit is broken, when you're grieving, when you are overlooked and undervalued. The invitation for me is to be present, to be where God is and to be present to others. I'm just so blown away with the chance to sit here and be present to these people, because once you've seen, you cannot unsee. These girls have been rescued from a life of prostitution. The Banchara tribe sell their daughters into this way of life at around 12 years of age. It's been their primary livelihood for 500 years. Food for the Hungry's Daniel White showed me around House of Palms, a loving residential safe haven where the girls escape the spirit-crushing horror of prostitution and receive love, protection, and an education.
Working with the most vulnerable, those that are the most downtrodden, those that people would see as the lowest caste. And I'm just naturally, not because I'm some saint, my heart tugs towards those people. When I catch myself walking and I see someone that's fallen and everyone walks by, I can't not stop. I can't not somehow see them. Like, they're the ones that highlight to me amongst the crowd.
So what about those of us with money in the bank and all the stuff you can think of? What does poverty of spirit look like to a multimillionaire? I was researching for the book and I discovered this op-ed in the New York Times, and it started with these words: "In my last year on Wall Street, my bonus was 3.6 million and I was angry because it wasn't enough." And that was my introduction to my friend Sam Polk.
So I have a lot of experience with poverty of spirit. To me, I think the first manifestation of that was addiction when I was younger. From basically 17 to 22, there wasn't a drug or a drink that I wouldn't put in my body. I liked partying, but more than anything, I was chasing that fullness that came when I was high or when I was drunk. I ended up getting sober from drugs or alcohol when I was 22, and all of my addiction had been about trying to fill this hole inside of me. This feeling of sort of like emptiness or lack, like something was missing. I grew up in LA, and from a very early age was incredibly ambitious. After college, I went to Wall Street, and I spent the next 8 years sort of climbing the finance corporate ladder and doing that rather well. By the time I was 30, I was making millions and millions of dollars a year as a senior trader at one of the largest hedge funds in the world. I started to realize that basically the same thing was going on, that still something was missing, and I was trying to fill it not with drugs and alcohol, but with money. Criteria for what I wanted to do with my life was really all about me. Like, does this give me money? Does this give me status? Does this give me prestige? I've come to sort of believe that that emptiness has to do with purpose and meaning and connection. I hadn't realized that there were neighborhoods 5 miles from mine where per capita income is $13,000 a year, and that life expectancy is 10 years lower than more affluent neighborhoods. Like, literally, whether you're born here or 5 miles over here says you get a 10-year longer life if you're born over here. That just broke my heart. I also started to understand what that meant about food. There's things called food deserts where there's tons and tons of fast food but no fresh food for sale. Even if you were trying to eat healthy, that you literally couldn't. That led to the creation of Every Table. Every Table basically has grab-and-go storefronts selling incredible, delicious, fresh, healthy meals. We opened some stores in super low-income neighborhoods like South Los Angeles. Our food is less expensive than fast food. I know that what I've done has now helped these people that I'm trying to help. I'm becoming more of the person that I had the potential to become the whole time.
You're the eyes that see past the shadows. You're the tears that make us new. You're the spring that wells within us. You're the breath that will renew. You're the eyes that see past the shadows. You're the tears that make us new. You will make a way. You will make a way for us.
We've been in community with Stu for a long time and friends with him and toured with him, and so it was a no-brainer for us when we were asked to do this. And we came in that day that we wrote and we talked about the first beatitude, blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of God. I just remember sitting and meditating on that. What does that look like, to be poor in spirit or to be poor in literal terms?
You will make a way. You will make a way for us.
I think that what I've realized in diving into these stories and looking at the Beatitudes is that actually at one time or other in our lives, we are all poor in spirit. There are things that happen to us along life's journey that causes us to lose faith and lose hope and lose light. You know, to go back to Eugene Peterson, when we feel the rope slipping from our hands and any kind of sense of control. You know, some of us wake up and it's dark every day, and that's what poverty of spirit is. But what I've discovered is the promise of presence in our darkness and in those moments where we just have nothing left. God says, I'm on your side.